Welcome to Surf Dudes with Attitude. This is Pete out of New York City. Hello.
Hello, bunch of scuzz buckets. It's Zach from Nashville.
And I'm the show's producer, George from Hershey, Pennsylvania.
Hello, Zachary and George F. We have a really special guest on this week. His name is James Oliva. I don't think I've ever actually said your last name.
Yay! It's me. I'm here. You guys weren't expecting it, but here I am.
James, how the heck
James,
are you? Wow.
Great friend of the show already.
Yeah, I was just lurking in the shadows, and I heard you guys were doing a show, so I figured I'd come out and say hey.
We told you to go backstage, and then we were going to give you the cane to actually bring you out.
You look like one who lurks.
Yeah, I definitely.
You do. Those Dahmer glasses are doing it for me.
100%. That's why I got them. So people know immediately.
Wait, did you send back the first pair?
Face.
Did you send back the first? Did you send back the first pair and be like,
no,
they're not big enough.
Make
them bigger.
They sent me a bigger one without me even having to ask.
Wow.
They just knew. They knew what you wanted.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. So anyways, guys, you know what? You know what's funny? This is the first podcast I've ever been on.
Are you kidding me right now?
This is my
not
first
counting
appearance
not counting
as
your
a
own.
guest. Well, but I run that. I have no choice but to be on that.
See,
but nobody has asked me to be on their show yet. So this is the first time I have ever appeared on a podcast, and I got to say, I'm very excited to be here.
That's
We're
amazing.
very excited. We're pleased to have you here. I mean, I think you're a natural. I've never known you to be nervous. In case you are, don't be. It's you. I think know what you're doing more than we do.
Well,
I think so.
You know, I wouldn't go that far, but I will say I'm very excited to go over these notes. And I had a couple weeks. I gave myself a little bit of an incubation period between when I first watched it. And I got to say, my notes were pretty spot on. They're pretty good.
That's not how I would describe. That's not how I would describe it. I asked you to do this, and literally that same night, I got an angry, assorted amount of text messages being upset about the show. So you watched as soon as you possibly could. You probably put your poor brand new wife through this as well.
Oh, she has at least one note. Just saying.
We have at least 2.5 over a fortnight of you just stewing about this.
So, just a quick poll. Raise your hand if you were invited to James's wedding.
You know what? I'm not going to raise my hand here because I wasn't. And the day of, I found out that he was getting married because Zach was in town, and I was like, I mean, real talk, I was like upset. I was kind of pissed, and I remember talking to some friends. Like, I was like, do I say something? I don't want to ruin this guy's day, but I'm like, this is fucked, man. Like, we were in a band together, and he invited me to his wedding.
Technically, I was a plus one.
Zach wasn't even in the band. He was a plus one.
I lifted my hand saying I was invited. It was like, technically, I think I traveled with someone who was invited and made my way in.
Even
Hold on, sir.
George had no idea he was stepping into.
Now raise your hand if you've been invited to James's podcast.
So 50% of this podcast is already adversarial.
Okay. I mean, in my defense, I did ask George if he wanted to come on with us, and he's like, nobody cares what I have to say. I think those were your exact words.
That is true. I was
out.
there. That did happen.
I didn't say it like that. I don't know you. I've never met you before, and you invited the two of them on to promote the show, and on this show, I'm more behind the scenes. This is probably the most I've ever talked on a normal episode. So,
and to be fair, within moments of meeting you and having watched the first episode, knowing you're a part of the show, I did invite you on the show.
Witness, I was there.
That did happen.
Very true.
And
just
the
to put
wedding, no. Let's talk about that for a second. Let's talk about that because you know what?
Wait.
You guys weren't the only.
Before you continue, I know in all actuality you're probably dealing with this from a bunch of tentacles in your life. What happened was I texted him and I was like, I love you. I hope the day is awesome. And you were like, hey, come out to the after party. That's when most people are coming out. And so it all worked out and it was a great wedding. couldn't be happier. I didn't have to go to the boring part.
This was the thing. There were a ton of. We knew doing a wedding in New York was going to be cost prohibitive to all of our families, like extended friends. They don't live in New York City. My family is. Some of her family is. Most of our connections are elsewhere. Georgia, Nebraska, Tennessee, like all over the place. And a lot of people didn't come because of that. But we only had it's expensive to have a wedding, and it's
to feed
really
all these fat idiots.
And we did it like Courtney was a fucking mastermind piecing together all these things, and like we didn't get destroyed like some people do, but it still was a lot of money, and like we couldn't invite everybody, including Zach. You weren't the only one. There were multiple people who were like, we don't know if they can come yet. A first wave of people have to say, like, first wave of family and friends have to say, I can't come. And then we know we have seats. And even down to the day, there was probably like 10 people. One couple who came from California who didn't RSVP. There was no guarantee they were going to be able to like sit down. But it just so happened that people got sick or didn't show up that day. And it was flexible so that anyone could kind of join that way at the end. But dude, she did most of the work. I was really logistics more than anything, but putting all of that together was fucking insane. And she basically did it all herself. Like, she didn't have a wedding planner. We had somebody the day of kind of helping us coordinate. But other than that, it was
gorgeous.
She and I making
it was gorgeous.
Although you were responsible for the bartenders, I understand. Yes. And so I got to give you credit there.
That bartenders.
That was also Courtney, but still, yes. Those bartenders.
James danced his buns off. He cut a rug, and that's all he had to do.
What's funny? This is what's so stupid.
And everyone,
the fire-breathing, juggling bartenders.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. Maybe we can save this for the extended cut. Okay,
people definitely pay for that
in the end.
Let's
to move along before we get
business.
into the show. First. If you're watching, subscribe or like our show, and you can find everything for the show at surfdudeswithattitude.com. We have a kind of tradition that we do on the show. Before we jump into the show that we're talking about, we look ahead at the title of the next episode and take a guess as to what it could possibly be about. So, James, I'll give you the first guess. The title for the next episode is called Romancing the Tube. What do you think the episode is about?
I hope that it's not a TV and that's a sock. Just saying. That would make for an interesting episode.
But what
like your
can you elaborate on what would with people's names maybe?
Well,
or what kind of sock is it? Is it like the big tube sock with the stripes?
I think it's the diabetic compression sock.
And it's going to be Sly for sure.
Is what? He's going to be romancing the tube.
Okay,
this is a masturbation episode. That's
Whatever.
your guess? That's
Sure.
your final answer. What about you, Zach?
If you want to take it there, that's fine.
I don't know that I'm going to top that one. Well, as we've learned before, they often use these titles and they're kind of plays on other things. So I'm thinking of Romancing the Stone, right?
Okay,
probably.
Which every child would get that reference for sure.
Yeah, that was. I watched that as a child. What's up, Michael Douglas?
Yeah, did you see the shitty sequel? Do you know the sequel?
I did see the shitty sequel. Yeah,
Jewel the Nile.
Yeah, so I think they're going to replace the stone with the tube. I'm happy with the sock, and there's going to be some kind of plane crash involved.
Okay.
Damn.
Zach goes for it every week. I'll give him
I
that.
am wrong every time. I will say so far I'm
You're just
batting
hoping
0.
for something entertaining to
I just really want this show to be good. I just really want.
He's.
Do you
I
know what the
appreciate your
next
optimism.
episode is, or
I
you
do
have,
know what the next episode. Yeah, because we've had to. You and I have had to look around for other guests in case James sucks, and we have to make sure what these episodes are going to be about stuff. So I do know what it is, but I think Zach is partially correct. Romancing the Stone. It's a play on words. And
What about the plane crash?
There's no plane crash.
They didn't lead with it, but it could be the B plot. It's possible. They are near the coast. Apparently, Tiffany falls for Sly because she's giving him surfing lessons. So
James
we've had it on
point.
Oh,
He just picked Sly.
we have never seen an outdoor shot in this, James, and so we keep saying they keep talking about surfing. They sing about surfing. I hope we'll see a fake beach at some point, and if there's going to be an episode about it, it's going to be this surf centric episode. But we're gonna have to find out. So
We had Jenny fall for Sly once. Now we have Tiffany falling for Sly. I hope Matt falls for Sly next.
yeah, that would
so
be
too.
because this show is strangely progressive. But
Yeah.
all right, well, you guys want to get into it?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Scuzz buckets.
I used to call kids scuzz, I was not confrontational as a child, but I would call people scuzz bucket. And this
from
might
this
be
show,
when I was a child. This might be the origin story of why.
Yeah.
I have not heard it anywhere else. But we are doing episode 9 of season 1 right now. It's called Mother and Child Reunion, and it aired on November 7th, 1992. James, how old were you when this came out? What were you doing?
I was 4 years old, definitely shitting in my pants.
Okay.
100%.
Kind of a late
Sure, yeah.
or average. I don't know.
Whatever.
I don't have
When do you
kids.
stop? When do you start? Well, when do you stop shitting
when do
your
you,
pants?
when do you stop? Exactly. When do you
Yeah.
stop? Okay,
It's
so
more of
I
a
have,
suggestion.
You know, I have a note here at 0000. and again, I have timestamps, so if
Okay.
we can like pull up stills of what is happening on the screen. But ultimately, at 000, I ask, what's the deal with the intro song? Is this supposed to be the band?
Yes. Yes, it is the band, and as we've kind of touched on, I think Zach kind of eloquently put it. He's like, "This is the least attitude song he's ever heard." Like this.
Yeah, the
this
opening
is-
line, "Surf dudes with attitude," and it's so gentle.
They're supposed to be a rock band, and this is kind of on par with, like, they have some more upbeat songs, but they never get heavier than this.
Did they play
This episode they get.
Did they
as heavy
play
as they
or did they play or write this?
Yes,
thing?
first episode, this
First
song comes
episode,
out.
okay, so
and
Yeah,
not
you
only
get to
that,
hear the whole
we heard the whole thing, and with an accompanying music video. So they're playing their first gig, and then all of a sudden you get this director's cut of it's like an extended intro. It's got another verse and it's got an interlude.
It's just more
you
of
should
them
look at-
running around on the beach and then like trampoline out of the shot, but you know they're getting air from something springy.
Because in the intro, there's like slides on a trampoline. So this is definitely film. This is just B-roll from whenever they shot the fucking intro. So
It's
does
beautiful.
that
The
answer
song
your
grows
question?
on you, but there's another song. There's another song during that first episode. There are a lot of other songs that would have been a better theme song for this show.
Yeah, I'm super happy that mine only had 2, like this one and the other one that they play in it. I'm happy because my next note is at 1 minute, and
It's gonna be a long fucking episode.
The note says 1 minute in, first impressions were no, not under any circumstance.
Can the court stenographer read that back to us? Actually, I didn't catch it.
And here, wait, there's a sub note to that says, on a scale of 1 to 10, how big of a factor is... Okay, you said this on my show, but let's pretend like I haven't heard this. On a scale of 1 to 10, how big of a factor is this show in either of you pursuing music?
I didn't have to give a numeric value to this, but I'll say between a 4 and a 5, 3 and a 4.
Pretty good.
4
Out of 10.
out of 10.
I had never seen or heard of this show before this show. So,
Right, and
so 0 for me, but I think it's up. It might be reasons.
Proactively, it's grandfathered in to Zach's story, his journey on music.
I was convinced that both of you had seen this show.
No.
I was convinced that both of you had seen this show.
Zach was
And
2.
My next note here is figures. but we can go on. So I guess like my first impressions were this. It was bad. It was like just as stale as any other 90s sitcom. Rough. Like the acting is just like, okay, here's, for me, Full House has better acting than the first 3 minutes that I watched of this show. It was just so.
They're in the garage when they first start. So before you get too far ahead, we go to the garage and the whole band is coming in and they're yelling at Sly because he hasn't got them a show in 32 days. What part of that acting really offended you?
It's not that it offended me. It just offended me by how unbelievable it was.
Well, it's a 3-camera sitcom. Of course it's unbelievable. This is like a live studio audience, I think.
And I also think we talked about this too. Canadian. There's like this distinctly Canadian
feels
element
very
to
Canadian.
It that I just can't get over, and it's tripping me out. Like, are we on the beaches of a lake in Canada, or are we in California? Like,
it does feel like how someone else thinks California is. It feels like this is what teenagers in California are like, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
What's this about then? You know what I mean? For sure. For sure. And I guess that's another point. Another note I have here was at the 3-minute mark. This show terrifies me that someone was paid to create it. Monsters are real. The monsters are us. And I feel like that is the Canadian boardroom of people who are making the decisions about this show. But anyways, I digress.
He doesn't make me be the sole defender of this show. That is not what this podcast is.
He hasn't booked them a show in 32 days. What was their last gig in the last episode? Did I miss that too?
Fucking awesome.
Yeah, they pretty
question.
much have a gig almost every episode.
Okay. So my episode is the one episode they don't have a gig.
Yeah. What,
wow.
Zach, what was
Yeah,
what is the last? What was the last episode? What was that about?
It's a guy thing.
Did they have a gig? I'm gonna cut this out, but did they have a gig? I'm trying to remember.
Okay, yeah, I'm glad you're cutting it out.
Well, it's these poor Patreon people. They're gonna watch all this. So
George is not cutting this out. This was 1 week ago. Okay, they played half of a song, and it got interrupted. No, they didn't have a gig. They had a boxing match instead.
So the last gig they played was at the yacht club. Was
2 episodes before
the racism episode. Ago. Yeah.
Yes.
Whew. Okay. So that's been 32 days. James, we have this ongoing debate, and this is kind of like an interstellar, non-linear timeline of California Dreams. Supposedly they're in school. We've never seen a school yet. It's been 32 days since that yacht club incident. Like, what has happened? Why haven't they were supposed to have a residency at Sharkey's every Friday night for cheeseburgers and onion rings, but they did not. They're not playing that or something. It's like every time the episode ends, like they start from scratch. So I don't know. We also have this. Maybe you can shed some light. We have this discussion on like whether Sly is a good manager. Would you have him as your band?
Well, you know, it's really funny that you say that because my next note is at 3:28. So from the onset, I don't really think much about Sly. This is my first episode. He hasn't booked them a show in 32 days. I don't know what his booking rate is. I don't know how often they play shows. So that's not necessarily a big deal. They seem perturbed, but not too upset. But then when Tiff's mother comes back and they all see that it's Tiff's mother, when Sly comes in, he's delightfully predatory. And I don't think his character necessarily aged the best, but
No.
I don't think he's a good manager for that reason alone. If he's going to hit on every band member's mother immediately upon meeting them, I don't think that's the guy you want in charge of the
And band member.
Yeah,
Sly is delightfully predatory. Is that how you'd put it?
yeah,
I love that.
delightfully,
That's
delightfully
really good.
predatory. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that pretty much tracks. I actually think this episode he's pretty tame.
Ooh.
comparatively, yeah.
But that's okay. I did want to bring that up when he's talking to the mom. They first say like, "Hey, that's Tiff's mom," and he doesn't believe him. And then I don't know. She pulls out her ID or something and proves it. And then he's like, "Ooh, you can have her," kind of thing. Like, so at first I was like, that's kind of a baller move that Sly is not put off by the fact that she's a mom. But he does that mean he has some standards? He's like, I won't cross that line. I won't fuck the bass player of my band that I manage's mom. That's the line in the sand.
Okay, Pete is always trying to find a silver lining in Sly's character, and you're doing it again. You're like, but actually, is this a good thing that he backed off? It's like, yeah, he never should have aggressed.
He shouldn't have, but okay. I also had, so we see Gail. We're like, let's not gloss over that. We're very. This is
Melody,
this is a big
back.
deal to see the mom of the household, James. This is only her third appearance total.
Wow.
9th episode,
and she just lets this rando woman into her house at seemingly, this is supposedly before school, maybe this is like 7 a.m.
They're still homeschooled in this season. We've been over this.
Oh, right.
That's why they never go to school.
Yeah, so her name is Judy Webb, because she doesn't use her maiden name, or Judy Webb is her maiden name, and she doesn't use Smith anymore. So this is kind of counterpointed with the Dreams trying to figure out what they can do to get a show, and they always say hot bands have some kind of gimmick. Is that true? Do you guys? I'm talking to two very gimmicky motherfuckers here. Actually, it's a band of gimmicky motherfuckers.
Actually, yeah.
Seriously.
The three of us
Every one of us has
are the ones.
I guess we don't even have to ask that, but yeah. I mean,
Zach, wait. No. Zach, why are you dressed like that?
Okay, so this is an homage to the California Nightmares, which we'll be introduced to later on in the episode. See, every episode I do some sort of outfit homage to a character or a thing in the episode, because Pete pressured me into it. He said, "You have a big closet. Start using it, please. Please, we need more people interested." I don't know if it's working, but I want to also point out this shirt here. This shirt is.
You guys are missing out if you're not on Patreon. Jeez.
It says gun-shaped nipples, and this was my uncle's band from like late '80s, early '90s.
I love that band name.
They like
That's
hand painted
incredible.
them. Yeah, it was the idea that it was like you had holsters everywhere and like under your chest, and that was
Gun-shaped
guns.
nipples.
These are my gun-shaped nipples. And they thought it'd be a good band name, and I don't think any recordings still exist from what they played, but this shirt does. And I think they might have gotten a gig with California Nightmares.
I never know if Zach's dressing up or it's literally just like his normal routine, because he's such a good dresser.
Yeah,
I'm jealous. So
I was gonna say, I love that Zach's like, I don't know what I bring to this show other than the good outfits. So I'm just gonna do the good outfits.
I don't know the show.
Seriously, every time I hear him talk about it, it's like, I don't know anything. I'm just showing up. This is not what I do, but here I am.
It's not a snow day. I'm going to be there on time.
That's right.
Okay,
I love that.
So Tiffany, at this point, she has some kind of bullshit throwaway line about being a latchkey kid, and like this is setting up what's going to happen.
Wait. When did she have that line?
She says that, and when they go back to the garage. And there was one episode, I think it was episode 5, Dream Man, where she says, "Hey, my dad is going to be out of town on business. Can I come sleep over at your house?" So at that point, we did know that that Tiffany comes from a single parent household,
That's
child
right.
of divorce.
Yep.
And anyway.
Yeah, we're going sort of back and forth between Melody talking to Tiffany's mom and then the garage where they're sort of practicing.
Well, it's like
right. So I remember I have a couple notes here. Is the only reason. So
just start shooting them out, man.
You know, Sly's hitting on the mom. George mentioned it is weird that she was being sexually harassed by a teen. That's the first thing I thought. Nobody stopped it. Nobody in the room was like, just stop, please. Anyways, so then we cut to Tiffany in her room staring at her surfboard. And my note here is, Tiffany seems to be repressing a lot of rage. I would really be interested to see what would happen if she did go live with her mom for a year. Maybe it would end in a murder mystery episode cliffhanger. She's clearly disturbed, just staring at her surfboard alone in her room.
Was she not waxing it?
She was waxing it.
I don't think she was.
Waxing philosophic on that board.
I don't know. We'd have to pull up that clip. I don't know. It's just weird because all of her friends,
Mr. Timestamp could definitely pull that up.
They're in her house. They were just all hanging out, and now all of a sudden she like escaped to her room.
So I keep forgetting James is an amateur at this show, and don't understand. They don't do any editing. There's no establishing shots. Yeah. They go from room to room to room. It doesn't matter.
Just a free for all. Yeah.
Like one of the last episodes, Jenny actually says to Sly in the garage, she's like, "Come to my place tonight." Like literally the place that they're at.
It's like
that they've been hanging out. Floors. Yeah, for the last couple days. So Tiff's room, which we're now in, because James is so keen to get there. It's the same set as Jenny's room. They just throw on a couple different things. So we need to have Tiff has to do something. She's got to be something. So she has a surfboard there. So she's interacting with it. Okay. The show is perfect. Sly is great. You cannot tell me otherwise. Oh Jesus. Yes. So yes, all her friends are there. Did you guys ever think? Do you think that she thought at this point that maybe she was getting kicked out of the band? Because this seemed like an intervention. All her friends show up and they're like, "We have to talk to you."
She seemed pretty excited to see
that. Would terrify me. But to James's point, she's always been a Pollyanna. She's always happy. She's always like the great person to be in a
lot of rage.
Exactly. That's what we're finding out this episode.
Yes.
We're not gonna deny that. We usually skip over any of the gags or the jokes in this show, even though it's
because they're terrible.
They are terrible.
In fact, there were a couple terrible jokes in that scene to try and move it along. And my note here is at 4:50. It's hard to believe this was acceptable media at any point in human history. Money, real 1990s
says more about
money
you
was spent on that show. And then I don't know what's happening at 6 minutes, but this is kind of related. The amount of cocaine consumed during the writing of this show must have been enough to rival many smaller countries' GDPs.
Okay. Okay. Damn.
Well, I'm kind of following along with your timestamps. And apparently that's the next scene directly after Tiffany's room.
Oh, what scene is
it's
that?
Within they're in Matt's room.
Did you watch the extended cut or something?
Well, Tiffany's mom, Judy, wants to tell Tiffany that she's back in town, back at the kitchen, and Jenny's like, "We should tell her because she's going to be freaked out. She hasn't seen you in 10 years. You abandoned her." So that's why they show up to the room.
Sure.
To Tiffany's room, and they tell her, and she takes it pretty well. She's
excited a lot,
but you can tell. Yeah,
you can tell something's gonna blow. It's gonna be like a gasket. It's gonna be a mercury blown.
Nobody's safe.
Nobody's safe. But I mean, you more feel bad for her. You don't think Tiffany's gonna go off the handle and murder anybody, but she's definitely. Oh my God, this girl got hurt. This is a lot of trauma for anybody to take in, and she's just like, and it's kind of showcased a little later where it's like, "Mom, it's fine. I don't want to think about any of that. It's ancient history." It's not. We knew something was about to happen. But before we do that, before we go there, can I just talk about Matt's room real quick?
Yeah, let's talk about Matt's room.
We go to Matt's room, and I'd say the biggest mystery on this show, James, is that every other episode that we see Matt's room, there's a piano in there. And sometimes it's not there, and sometimes it is.
Yeah, it's usually it's usually been a little keyboard, a little electronic keyboard before this. It's now an upright.
Yeah, he's speechless.
But he's a musician. What if he just moves the keyboard to like?
It's an entire stand-up piano. No, they're on the second floor.
Yeah, we're gonna see if it sticks around. The keyboard makes sense.
Do we know it's on the second floor, though? Are we sure?
Yes, because that's when they go up to the kitchen, they go upstairs.
Right, and this is the leftover set from Full House, so we know which direction.
It's not Full House.
is.
It's
not- I
Saved
don't
by
think
the
it's a
Bell. You asshole. Matt has a new B-52s poster that we've never seen before.
Notice that. That's pretty good.
And then this is the time where Sly has figured out what gimmick they need, and he brings in this huge
The fog
smoke,
machine, right?
Smoke
Yeah, it's
machine,
the
and
Smokatron 2000, baby.
That's definitely what they would call
It's
it
a hot item.
in the 90s. And that's I don't want to talk about it anymore. Like, I don't want to talk about that gag, but
I do, because I'm a little annoyed. Like, I get it that gimmicks shouldn't come first. I wouldn't say fog is a gimmick, though. Like, that's just some extra theatrics.
depends how much fog you have. There was a time I was on tour in Charlotte, and it was not a well ventilated area. I thought it was because it was a dog bar, and we had just gotten a smoke machine, and it had one of the foot pedals.
Okay.
It had one of the foot
supposed to
pedals.
imply
You
it's a
guys just gotta keep
well-ventilated
going.
area?
Because I don't know, the dogs might be pooping and peeing and stuff. I thought they'd have the windows open, but apparently I don't know. I didn't have it on the right setting, or it was we got really thick juice or something. And it had a foot pedal attached to it, and I was going fucking ham on this thing. And then at the end of the set, they're like, the fire department got called because it looked like the place was on fire. The other band has to start a half hour late because we have to air this place out because of you. Still got paid though, so.
Okay, so actually, this scene where like Sly smokes them out was
It was a little triggering, and I didn't want to talk
yeah.
about it. That's why.
Pretty
I'm sorry for holding us in this space too long.
That's okay. Can we go back to the garage after
No,
that?
the kitchen.
No, wait. So,
Oh my God!
So
James is
the
fucking
fog-
me up with his
The
timestamps.
fog machine. Okay, then Tiffany meets her mom.
Yes,
We're forgetting that whole scene.
but the reunion is. We're not forgetting it. The reunion is happening here. Of course, it's happening here after 10 years being gone from Tiffany's life at the Garrison household. Did anybody else find that strange?
It was very strange, and honestly, there was a couple things that her mom said that made it even weirder.
Okay.
I don't know if I have an issue with her mom going to New York to pursue a role in that big show.
Did they say what the show
they
was?
never named.
Oh, it's cats.
What bothers me is that her big time showbiz mom was too busy to call. She
didn't
never
call
called. And there was
once.
one point where she's like, I felt so guilty at first.
She's like, then I just kind of got used
Then
to
I
you not
got over it.
existing, and it was
Didn't bother
fine.
me at all. That's honestly that's
you live
why-
with the guilt. As soon as she started talking to Tiff about it, I was like, oh, this bitch ain't staying. Like, they were setting it up. There was being telegraphed that she was definitely gonna bail again. I was kind of like, spoiler alert, I was kind of happy that she didn't just up and bail from her life, because usually the lesson in these episodes is like, don't let people walk all over you and then invite them back in your life, because they'll probably do the same thing. Like, it did seem like she was trying to be somewhat redeemable, but she is not a good mom and can't read the fucking room when she asked Tiffany to just come live with her. So,
this was also during this monumentous moment where they're having this mother-daughter thing. I just couldn't help but notice the awe track, bunk. Laugh track, bunk. They're crying, bunk.
I mean,
Actually, I thought their
full
crying was some of the best acting we've seen so far.
For that show, we're not setting the bar that high, right? So
Hey, it's all we
that's
have
my
to compare
problem.
in this podcast. This is the show that exists.
How dare you?
Like, I imagine this, if this were an actual universe where everything were like California Dreams, it would just be like all the NPCs from The Sims lived in a space and just walked into each other because there's no
That
purpose.
doesn't sound right.
interaction.
Because if the Sims were like surfers, they would just have a surfboard, and I don't think you'd
they
actually
would never
see them
play a
surfing.
show.
Just like,
they would
yeah.
never
Are
play
they
a show. They'd
waxing
never
it?
go to the beach.
They're
Right,
just- I mean, yeah, they would wax it
Exactly.
because you're just
Yeah.
working on your house in The Sims, I think. Wow. but speaking of surfing, when we go back to the garage, like I guess they're all that band practice. James, I think they practice every day because they've definitely alluded that like, hey, we've been practicing every day for 2 years or whatever. Like we don't know how much time has left, but they practice a fucking ton.
Yeah.
I guess they're waiting for it, and then Tiff and her mom show up like full wetsuits and with a surfboard, and they're like, hey, where were you guys?
They didn't even really seem that upset about it. They were
But
I think they understood that Tiff was trying to reconnect with her mom. But
Well, they exposed a lot. Like there was a lot of exposition of them saying like, oh, the movies, going out to eat. Like what else are you and your mom doing? Like we're catching up on 10 years.
Rollerblading is what they're gonna do.
yeah,
Rollerblading is next.
yeah, they're catching up on 10 years.
Yeah.
Zach.
Tiffany's
Zach is-
repressing a lot of anger.
It's just
noted.
bubbling up.
Counselor.
Okay,
Zach,
during that moment, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I have a note about this moment that I need
then
to say.
what's your note about the moment?
So
what is it?
My note. They come in and they're all like, "Oh, what do we do? How about we dance?" And they start dancing, and something occurs to me. Tiff's mom sucks at dancing. Okay, her dancing is fucking bunk. Okay, her mom's music videos sucked because her dancing sucks, and that's why she has no work. It stinks. It stinks. It stinks. It's horrible, dude. It's
she's
horrible.
not
And
working
to be
with
fair,
great-
George said something about her being in the Rockettes. That little fucking dingy do dance that she does to try and get the kids to do. That's why she got fired from the Rockettes. Like she showed up at the audition and did that, and she's lucky they didn't like beat her to death.
Well, but if they're
Wait,
like,
who says
hey,
she's
we
a
wanna-
dance?
we
She's a
wanna get this-
choreographer.
She's a choreographer, and also
Okay.
none of these kids have dance experience that we
Yeah.
know of.
Does she
So
have
she's
dance
like,
experience?
So she's like,
Because-
hey, let me show you the roots of dance. Let me show you this simple move that everybody can do. And then they don't even do it right. I think this was to prove that dance is not the gimmick they need, even though Sly was stoked.
I guess.
And Judy was just trying to fit in. She's a bad mom. She's been a bad mom for a long time. She's trying to make up for lost
it's
time.
clear that Tiff is repressing a lot.
Okay, apparently a bad mom, bad choreographer, and her daughter is harboring a lot of rage inside her. Did I get all that?
And I think probably my favorite part about that scene is when Tiff feels jilted or when she starts to feel a certain way, she like immediately turns off the music and she's like, okay, we're done with that. Let's go now. It was like the perfect.
yeah.
It was the most graceful segue that anyone could have done at that moment.
It's a
It was
psychopath moment.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
wanted to say, what music were they listening to? Because Judy Webb was just like, give me something with a nice solid downbeat, and then I don't see them hit play on anything, and then this goofy ass music comes on. She was saying, give me something that you guys have written because we're gonna choreograph something to your music, and that in no way, in no fucking dimension, sounds like anything that Dreams would write.
I think they were just, it was like, welcome to dance class 101. Here we go. You want me to be your choreographer? Here's where we start. A 5, 6, 7, 8.
Okay.
Damn,
Yeah,
the actress that plays Judy Webb was married to Paul Stanley? Shit.
Wow.
That girl has been
Nice.
filthy.
During the this time,
Good for
like
her.
at the time of the filming of this, she was
how many
Paul
times
Stanley's
has Paul
wife.
Stanley been married?
She knows a downbeat.
Oh wow. Okay, here we go. So we go to Sharky's. This is the first time. that
No,
we're seeing-
no, here
No,
wait,
no.
there's one
Jenny
other
takes her
thing.
aside, takes Tiffany aside, and is like,
Yes.
"Hey, I want to talk to you. You seem upset," and makes everybody leave the room so she can be like, "What's going on?"
And
You're not.
just like I said,
Yeah.
it boils over and Tiff's repressed rage explodes just like I said it would. Jenny won't get off of her case and won't just let it lie. Jesus, Jenny, lay off.
That's Jenny for you. She's like the worst in this show. Yeah. Well, I just have a question. Did Tiffany show up to practice just to bail? Because Tony has done this before too, where he comes in and he's like, guys, I'm going to see a movie with my pops. Not going to come to rehearsal, even though I'm here. Is that what Tiff did? She came with her mom to show everybody why she's not going to play with the band.
And then they tried to dance, and then everybody was bad at it. Matt was like, "I'm just a bad dancer. That's my problem." And then they're like, "All right, time to bail."
Yeah, that's his problem.
Yeah, very charming front man. No notes except maybe leave the dancing to Tiff's mom.
Yeah. Or not even her, because she wasn't that good either. Like she did the first two, and I wasn't impressed. I really wasn't impressed. Okay, so now when we do go to Sharky's, my first note there was this set the leftover Saved by the Bell set, and it has to be.
It's not the same one.
It's
the opposite side of the Saved by the Bell.
They use the
set,
same bedroom sets, but it's not. Sharky's is not the max. And I won't let you say that.
That's true. We see at least 3 sides of Sharky's, and none of it matches the max. So don't worry. This is original. This is an original place. This is the place that they play the most frequently. Tony works there. They all go there. If they're not in the garage or somebody's bedroom or the kitchen, they are definitely at Sharky's. And they're there again. And Judy's there, seated waiting, drinking a soda pop.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that, okay, so at this point, Tiffany is 15 years old because Judy has gathered everybody here for a surprise birthday.
On the day before. Yeah.
The day before, and there's only like a few of her friends that showed up. Her dad is not even there, but they do have a throwaway line.
Well,
that like,
I don't think things between the parents are good. I mean, she's reuniting with her at the band's house, not at her own house. I think things with Judy and dad are not smooth enough to be like, we're going to celebrate together. Like, I think he's still like, I don't know. That's what I would venture to guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what do you think happened in their divorce? What do you think? She did
Tiffany.
say
it was probably Tiffany.
Judy said she was young. That was pretty vague.
She was really young.
Dips. Her mom just dips.
Also,
her mom gets a possible job in New York and dips.
And Tiffany was 5. Like
right,
young.
10 years, yeah.
They kind of play it like young mom. I didn't know what to do. I left. Is just like, I get it. It's got to be a hard gig, but also like. She's been doing it for 5 years.
5 years already.
5 years. Like abandoning a 5-year-old. This isn't abandoning like a newborn that you're like, it's not for me. Here, somebody else. She actually
had to be like, I've done this. Fuck this. I'm going to go live in New York. I'm going to go do something completely different. Fuck this.
Well, she shouldn't have got married. Well, how old's his mom? How old was she when she got pregnant with Tiffany?
I don't know. How old was she the first time she married Paul Stanley?
Yeah, that's a great question. Did they mention marriage? Maybe they were living in delicious sin.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's the best kind. So, I mean, I think this is a massive overstep by Judy to ask Tiffany if she wants to come live with her for a whole year, right?
Yeah, I don't get why her mom says, I don't want to step in between your relationship between you and your dad. But then I thought immediately after saying that, asks her to come live in New York for a year.
Yeah, like it's cool if you celebrate your actual birthday with him.
She said she talked to it.
But I'm going to take you away, and your dad's cool with it.
I don't know how he'd be cool with it. What power did she have over him? But something must have happened for her to leave for 10 years.
Dude, her dad is like, I've been raising this kid by myself.
A teenage daughter alone.
For the past 10 years, you can take her.
Yeah, it's now time for him to pursue his dreams.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
His band.
Yeah.
His band.
I mean, but you're right. This is the point. This is the point where Tiffany blows a gasket. Finally, this is what James has been.
Well, she
warning
was
about.
Repressing a lot of rage.
Yeah, James has been proselytizing that the end is nigh.
My note here is thus. Tiff's pent-up rage explodes. Called it. Humiliated, she stuffs it back down, letting it slowly consume all hope for a peaceful life. The overwhelming sadness and desire for motherly love would hurt someone who could feel, but Tiff felt nothing. Just like she always had. Except this time it was more. Like even more nothing than nothing. Infinity nothing. Into infinity. Into nothingness.
I think that's pretty astute of you. It seems accurate.
Dude, the cheery disposition, I'm telling you, she's going to kill somebody. Someone's getting murdered.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, 100%. You know who smiles, who's like deeply upset and hates themselves inside but smiles on the exterior? Scientologists, okay?
What the fuck,
they,
dude?
100%, she would kill somebody. She's getting
you know what?
there,
I actually
you.
do see Tiffany as the type to maybe marry into Scientology at some point, but I don't think she'd end there. I think she'd get out of it.
She'd end murdering
Tiffany,
somebody. That's what
I think she'd get out of it.
Tiffany the character or or Kelly Packard the actress?
Both.
The character.
Okay. All right. I have a question here. Bring you the fuck back. Jesus Christ. Is Tony working today?
Wait, Kelly Packard is a Mormon in real life.
Oh, wow.
George just informed us.
That explains it.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Problem
Forget
solved.
it. We're going to the kitchen. Jenny has a sick ass outfit I really liked. And then, yeah, Tiff looks like a psychopath. And then my only other note here is that Sly is a great manager because he actually got them an audition. Now, it doesn't work out, but good for him for getting some guy to show up at some garage, you know?
True.
And he didn't even sexually harass anyone today.
No.
That's true. New day, new Sly.
Yeah, I don't think Sly's ever changes throughout the entirety of this series, but sorry. I think he's gunning to get his band a fucking good audition. We don't know where this guy. Oh, he's like some record executive or something, right?
No, he's a big club owner.
Club promoter. That's right.
Yeah. Just want to get him a gig at this club.
And the song, my note here for that song that they played there, Love Is Not Like This, huh?
Okay,
Bunk.
so we're
Bunk.
going to the
That song
going to the
was
garage.
bunk.
We're going to. Okay, hang on. We're going to the garage, and the California Dreams have revamped their image, and now they're calling themselves the California Nightmares, and they look punk, goth, metal. Like it's an amalgamation
going on.
of all
There's
of
a
them.
lot of leather.
If you just want to look
spikes.
at what they look like at Zach. Sign up for Patreon.
Yeah, this is pretty good representation.
Okay,
More spikes.
So I wanted to mention, I don't agree with James at all that this song sucks. I mean, it's perfectly in tune with what I think the song and music coordinators for this show thought a heavy song would sound
bar.
like.
We're talking about a low bar. We're talking about
All right, man. You try to write
man.
2 new songs a week.
1.5 sometimes.
I mean, they still have to write the whole song. They just have to
Hey, if
cut
I
it
didn't
for
have to go to
time.
high school, I could write
That's
so
right.
many songs.
I mean, they don't have to go to high school either because they're homeschooled. Okay? So I do want to say when Matt started this song off, just to be more fucking punk, he counts 1, 3, 5, 9 instead of 1, 2, 3, 4. Did anybody
and
notice
he
that?
always says, "Let's do it" before starting this thing.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
do they call him? Bulldog? Pitbull.
Oh, God, did they give him a name?
They called him
Matt
Pitbull.
is not any.
Matt
he
is not Pitbull.
He is a min pin at best.
I would say also, like, of everybody in the band, like he pulled. You don't know their normal look, James. You're not less familiar, but like of everybody who is like been revamped with their look, Matt wears it the worst. The rest of them, I think, wear it very well.
Tony had fake dreads on, which he got
Sure.
from like Party City, I think. I don't know why they made him look. I don't know. None of it made
I don't know.
sense.
That didn't look horrible.
Jenny made me feel things, actually, if I'm being completely honest. Like, Jenny looked real hot in this weird ass outfit.
Jenny was fucking awesome, and
Yeah.
yeah.
And Tiff was fucking rocking out on the bass. It was really nice to see her
I will
Absolutely.
say this.
rock out.
Watching every one of them, they were at least pretending like they were playing their instrument.
Oh, that's most of this show, is that we dissect
Like
how realistic
Tony's
it
on
is.
Beat, Tony's on beat.
Yeah.
Guitar looks like he's playing an unplugged guitar.
Until they
Oh yeah,
start.
they rarely
that.
plug them in. Usually they have microphones, but I think they needed to be able to be off mic for the like.
They had to mosh.
sort of moshing that
so
ends
much
up
edgier.
occurring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because at one point, Jenny just abandons the keyboard, and we still hear the keyboard, and Tony is standing up basically, and there's no kick drum, but the kick drum continues. So
I think it's awesome.
I thought this, based on what we have seen before that you've not been privy to, James, this was actually pretty good. Okay,
this is actually some of the coolest stuff we've seen and heard. This is like this happened, and I was like, this might be one of my favorite iterations of what
I love seeing the energy.
Yeah.
I gotta admit it. It was refreshing because normally it's just like this, no pun intended, but like this dreamy bullshit, very saccharine, non-offensive, very polite band, and I get that the joke here was that they went too hard and they don't get the gig, but
and love is not like this. It broke the mold. Really, that doesn't
again
fall
the bar.
Under the same
all right,
category.
Look, I'm gonna say
saccharine.
the song did not break the mold.
Yeah,
The song did not break the mold. The song sounds about like the rest of everything. It's on the more upbeat side of their discography, but the visuals, their performance was definitely different. I mean, Matt's vocals sounded the same. He was just like scowling more during the performance.
but it's what an energy
And,
of
like,
a teenage band should be. You know,
I agree.
they should be jumping up and rocking out and kind of fucking up some of their notes.
I agree. I think you can compromise a little bit of musicality for performance. I know it might be controversial. There's a line.
I was real upset. I was kind of upset that the promoter was like, "You're not what I wanted." I knew that was gonna be the joke, but I felt rejected for them. Like, oh, we could have got it if we just were ourselves.
They finally got it together.
And Sly took total responsibility for it. That's why he's a great manager.
This is rare. This is rare that we ever see Sly taking responsibility for anything. Might be the last time we ever get to.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's
so, yeah, if
definitely
you're
not going to
interested-
take responsibility for the sexual assaults.
No.
Oh, for sure. That's not going
He's
to
for sure not going to take responsibility for roofing anything.
No way.
My favorite part about the end of that scene is Tiff's
Yeah.
your mother Freudian slip, and that is followed by Tony making the only funny joke in the entire.
I
episode,
wrote that
where
down
he goes-
too.
Where he
That's
goes,
pretty funny.
I think he was talking about your mother. Fucking hilarious. Fucking hilarious. Quality
Tony showed up to
jokes.
he shows up to work, man. He's got great facial acting. Even so, some of the lines are so clunky in this. Like, he's got a natural delivery. I got to give him and Sly. I got to give it to him.
I will have to say this. My wife, who is black, demanded I mention her outrage at the single black guy saying goofy black guy things. That's from Courtney.
The one note.
I'm so
Now,
glad we
we
didn't
didn't-
have
we didn't-
James watch the last episode.
We
then.
didn't watch the racial episode that you were talking about. So
You should.
Yeah.
Maybe that would change her perspective. I doubt it. Just saying. Tony's joke in that scene is fucking hilarious though. That's the only joke of all the jokes that I saw in this show. The attempts at laughs, that was the only one where I was like, damn,
There's usually
got
one.
me.
There's one per episode that we all kind of have to agree on. That was like, okay, that was a well delivered line. Out of
was
22
brilliant.
minutes, you get one giggle.
Yeah.
It's a win. All right.
That line was brilliant. That joke was fucking brilliant. I love that.
Okay, so we're gonna go. So Tiffany leaves because her
She's gonna go catch your mom. Oh yeah, because her mom
We've
is
totally
leaving.
messed
We've decided.
all the plot up.
The plot. What plot?
We're talking about Scientology. We're not talking about the goddamn plot. People sitting in their car be like, wait, why is Tiffany leaving for the airport?
Because Judy has left for New York and given a message through Mrs. Garrison to
As
Tiffany.
you do.
Hey, if you need anything from her, here's her address, here's her phone number. And Tiffany's like, I won't be needing this, and tears it up. And
Yes.
then that happened just before this audition that didn't go well, although we, with 2/3 of this group, 3/4, George, of this group thought it was immaculate.
Yeah, so she goes and some pre 9/11 security wouldn't let her in, which I thought was because she was just trying to go through security and you didn't have any kind of boarding pass, but they didn't let her in because her
spikes
jacket was too metal.
Could have been a weapon.
I noticed in this when we're up in her bedroom, does she have a fucking personal bathroom? Damn. That's great.
It could have been a closet. I don't know if we saw that it was a bathroom. It could have
I think I thought it was a closet, but then she comes out with a cloth and she's drying her face, taking the makeup off, presumably.
I was wondering, is her dad home during any of this? He's just downstairs when her mom is just walking in and out of the house.
He started a band, dude. He started a band. He's doing.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, they're going to New York, sick."
Don't play with gun-shaped nipples. Can't come out right now.
Exactly.
Yeah, baby.
Exactly.
Oh, so I guess they make up. Her mom comes back and is like, I just couldn't leave without saying goodbye, but I guess they reconcile, but I guess her mom understands that she can't just intrude like this because it has some emotional ramifications. I did want to put
just be friends.
I guess so. Judy Webb / Judy Smith, she never comes back again. I don't know if the mom character does, but the actress does not. But she was in an episode of Hang Time, which was also on this teen NBC lineup as Nurse Gordon. So my question is, do you think that she changed her name again and it's just starting a fucking franchise of families elsewhere?
Definitely.
In the same universe?
She had to change her name because and this dovetails on my final note. As Tiff and her mother reconciled, so began a new chapter in Tiff's life. The long, arduous process of Tiffany's revenge. Finally, she felt something, and that something was a desire to taste her wicked mother's delicious blood. Obnoxiously evil laugh. So her mom had to change her name because Tiffany's going to kill her. Just like I said, because she's repressing a lot of rage.
And you think she's going to go straight to the mother?
100%. Who did she blame her dad? Her dad raised her.
Her dad seems
Did she blame
pretty
her
good.
friends? Her friends are all there in full support of her. One person who doesn't, mommy.
So James,
yep.
I'm going to talk you off this ledge for a second. Well, we give out awards on this show.
Yeah, I would like to say something just.
Please
about this final
do.
scene. A little shout out to the prop department.
Okay.
On Tiffany's bedroom door are two Wizard of Oz posters, and there's one of the whole gang, and then there's one of just Dorothy. Looks like probably from the Somewhere Over the Rainbow scene. Dorothy was, of course, played by Judy Garland. Judy is the name of her mom, and the whole theme of both is about coming home.
Wow.
So I think that was a little tie-in, and I think the prop department snuck that in. And I know it's groundbreaking. This is the stuff their prop department does. This shit, they'll tie in little things that are subtle.
Are you?
They
fucking,
do.
What the fuck?
They had a
Christopher Nolan movie.
What you think?
What the fuck is this shit, dude? Stanley
that's a
Kubrick
stretch?
directing this?
You think that wasn't
what the fuck
intentional?
Are you talking about, dude?
That her name's Judy. This whole thing's about coming home. There's no place like home. She's been gone for 10 years. She comes back. Her name's Judy. She goes off to pursue a career in Broadway to be a song and dance woman, just like Judy Garland. It's not a stretch. This was intentional. The prop department did it.
And they couldn't decide which Wizard of Oz poster, so just put them both up.
Just put them. Well, because of the
drill
gang.
this point home.
And when you think about it,
we really have to get this one across.
Yeah, when you think about it, I mean, the band, the California Dreams, are kind of like the gang, the Wizard of Oz.
Wasn't the Wizard of Oz really about industrialization and the death of the American dream, though?
There were several overlapping themes, but Dorothy's main goal was to get home after. Anyways,
I will agree with Zach that the posters on the wall we've had to go deep into. Tony had to stop apartheid poster that we had to look up and frame by frame search out. So that somebody's putting in some thought. Sometimes they fuck it up and they don't even bring amps to shows.
Okay,
but
I'm gonna throw this out there. This show has credits. those people in the credits obviously did these things.
I contacted one last week. I contacted one.
Are they alive?
He never got back to me. I contacted one last week and he never got back to me. Because I was asking. There was a chess set, and it was like this bullshit formation on the chess set that I demanded to know about. So I cannot believe he didn't get back to my very
rude,
strongly worded email.
You're leading invitational question.
I found his cell number and I texted him about it too.
Man? I watched your little show.
Yeah, I hope he saw an episode with that fucking weird headshot that you have hanging in the background creepily. I hope he saw that. It is like, yeah, this seems like a reasonable person I really want to talk to.
Hey, James. So on this podcast, we give out some awards every week. So I want to kind of throw it to you first. We give out a Tony Award, and we give out a Jenny Award, and we give out a Tiffy Award. Tony is the best mimed player, the person that like looked like they were actually playing, did it really well. The Jenny is the worst mimed player, and then the Tiffy is the person you'd most like to be in a band with based on this episode.
Okay, so the Tony Award would probably be, I don't know, I feel like Sly probably had the most animated.
Didn't play an instrument, so try again.
God
No,
damn
hey,
it.
I think
Oh, this is best miming like they're playing, not best acting.
When
Best miming like
when
they're
they
playing.
actually
Okay.
perform.
Okay,
yes.
fair. Well, like I said, I was watching the lead singer, him playing guitar was pretty realistic. Tony playing the drums. I was shocked at how like on beat that was, and the edit.
They are all
didn't fuck that up
musicians.
somehow.
You shit
They
all
all
over
do
it, but
play.
they are
It-
they had to audition
that-
and play to get on this show.
That was kind of realistic. The least believable was probably Tiff.
Okay.
Tiff. She
gets it
she was
sometimes.
putting in the action, but I didn't really necessarily believe in her perforance.
yeah. So
And
she's,
what was
she
the
got
last-
the Kelly then.
What was
She
the
got the
last one?
Jenny. She got the
Jenny.
Jenny.
Yeah, she got the Jenny.
And Tiffy is the best person to just be in a band with. Doesn't have to be music related.
Tiff's dad.
Nice. Yeah.
Why?
Or you know, Tiff's mom. Because
I
she's
demand
never
an
there.
answer.
She's never there.
That's what I'd say. Tiff's family. They seem like really nice people.
Okay.
Her mom
Got-
really felt bad at first.
We got a California Dreams anarchist on the show this week. I apologize to our listeners. It's been a California nightmare.
I am 100% okay if I am the most hateable guest you have on the show. It's okay with me.
Well,
I will
you're
be the
second
resident
guest,
villain. I will
probably,
be the
so
WWE
far.
bad guy wrestler. I'm okay with that.
James is the heel. We appreciate it. Okay, Zach. What about you? My love.
All right, I'm gonna actually give Tony the Tony Award to Jenny, just because I think this performance was more about the performance.
Hell
and I
yeah.
know that she went
Nice.
like to hell with my instrument, but like, you know, when she was singing, it looked like she was singing the backup parts, and then she's like, yeah, that performance was more about just going hog wild. Yeah, I think that Jenny's going to go to Tiff as well for performance. And then person to be in the band with. Ooh, everybody did kind of a weird job this time, didn't they? There wasn't a lot about the band.
Well, I think James has opened this up to other people outside of the band this week.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually go with Melody because
No-
Mom
no
hasn't won
rules, just
anything
right.
yet. I'm gonna give it to Melody, the mom, because she's kind of like she has helped facilitate all of this,
That's
but
true.
at everyone else's terms, like on everybody else's terms. It's just like, hey, we're
she
gonna
had
make
to-
this. We're gonna make this work. Everybody's gonna meet. I can, you know, I'm gonna host a band practice and this reunion. 10 years in the making.
She did. She didn't navigate.
that's a lot of
She really
responsibility.
is. She really is like the wizard behind the curtain. You know,
Yeah.
Ooh.
She had to navigate and negotiate.
pulling the strings. You know.
Yeah, that's
Being-
not an accident either. See more things. Yeah. Did you notice she had like a little green lapel?
She's probably banging Tiff dad.
Whoa, look out. You're like, oh, awkward. You're here after 10 years.
Yeah.
You haven't talked to your ex, have you?
Don't want to get in the middle of this
Mentioned
one.
me, has he?
Oh, jeez.
Ooh, that's a whopper.
Tiff basically lives at my house now.
So anyway, that's gonna do it for our 9th episode, Mother and Child Reunion. Thank you. Oh wow! So I don't know, patrons, if you want to stick around, there's probably going to be a lot of Scientology talk on the after show, on the encore.
Yeah, and before we go though, James, what would you like to plug? Tell people where everyone can find you, your own podcast, your bands, your music, whatever you want to tell the people about, please.
The big things to push to people would be the podcast, Totally Legitimate Business Podcast, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Totally Legitimate Business. That's just my personal Instagram, but that kind of updates about everything. And then music, me and my buddy Clint's label out in Seattle, Modern Grievance, moderngrievance.com. Check out that for any of our music and other bands' music that we release on there. That's pretty much it.
For the Totally Legitimate Business, what do you think is the latest that we're going to have to worry about with tax regulation changes?
I don't necessarily specialize in that. What I would specialize in is dealing with what to tell the lawyers when you get called to jail. You skip court, you go straight to jail. If you keep your business totally legit. So,
oh well, thank you for that. You're getting free legal advice here.
It's free legal advice
attitude
and financial. It's financial advice too. That is the show is financial advice.
Oh my God, you James, you should totally ruin George's Stock Gamblers podcast.
You're welcome to come on Stock Gamblers.
I would honestly love that. We can get crazy on crypto.
Awesome. All right, so everything for our show can be found at stockgamblers.net. Or no, I'm sorry, I'm having a stroke because we're talking and switching everything up. Everything about our show can be found at surfdudeswithattitude.com. Check out our Instagram. For patrons, if you are on the YouTube, you can hang around for the extended show, or if you're listening to the audio version, you can check out the bonus episode where we will be talking about weddings and also
just weddings.
More about interviewing our guest James Oliva. So please join us over there, and thank you for listening.
Hey, thanks so much. We're going to see you next week.
Thank you.
Here
Thank
on
you,
Surf Dudes
James,
with Attitude.
for being here.
Thanks for being here, James.
Thank you.
Everybody
Thank
get
you.
on his stuff. He's the best.
Thank you guys for having me. This was a blast. I loved it.
Good.
All right. Have any of you ever done a gimmick to change your
Oh, come on.
your looks for a band?
I'm about to pee myself. I'll be back in just a moment.
Oh, jeez.
That's Zach's gimmick. He like pees himself on stage.
Pees himself all the time.
Yeah.
So James, tell us about your show. Like, how'd you get into what you're doing?
So the podcast is really, we were talking about it kind of a little bit before we started recording, but basically, like, I've always been the person who has had the strange conversation at the party in the corner, and ultimately over 15 years of my life, and people just saying, you should turn this into, like, do something with this knowledge. I really just decided to document it. And it's also too because, like, I try and do things that require the least amount of work, and doing a podcast or a live stream was something that required virtually I didn't have to buy anything else. I already had all the stuff, I already had a lot of the ancillary knowledge of these things or exposure to these things, to where even if I don't necessarily know a ton about a subject, within a week I can become conversational on it just by hitting a couple videos and reading a couple articles, enough to fill an hour and a half. But I don't know. not necessarily. I love conspiracies. I've always loved conspiracies, but I also, one of the things I want to do with the show this year is kind of branch into other areas of my interest. And one of those big things is music. So I'm trying to have I know a ton of friends who are creative in all sorts of different ways and make great music and art. So just having those people on and kind of talking about the process, but also there's some crazy shit out there. I guess really the thing that always bothers me about all those rabbit holes that I went down and why I start the show is because some of the shit that I've read about is goofy and it's not believable at all. Then there's some stuff that's it's long ago been confirmed a real thing. There's no conspiracy about it. It was a conspiracy in that people conspired to do this thing, but it was actually verifiably a piece of history. Bohemian Grove's a good one. That place exists. That thing's been a club for 100+ years.
Right.
Real shit happens there. So we're not going to pretend like nothing happens there. And, those guys are just going there and having a fun weekend drinking,
So I did listen to that episode, and that is an episode I would recommend to anyone interested in conspiracy theories. That was well put together. I do want to shift, though. What can you tell us about your day job?
Oh God, the day job. This is really funny too, because no one's ever really asked me to talk about this on my podcast. But yeah, I download crime scene video for the city of Manhattan, and I see everything.
Wait, I don't know if you can talk about. Can you talk about specific cases you were on? Because I have a question.
If they have gone to trial, yes.
Okay, were you or were you not the one that had to photograph Harvey Weinstein's couch?
I was one of many people that had to videotape his whole office. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. See, that's the weird part about that job is that, you'll see shit happen on the news, then you'll be like, all right, we're gonna have to deal with that, aren't we? We're gonna have to deal with it.
Yeah.
God damn it, here we fucking go. This is something we're gonna have to deal with. Anything that's happened in New York in the past 10 years, I've seen the security video for it. And it's just Manhattan. I'm just in Manhattan. I don't do Brooklyn, Queens. Each of those boroughs have their own separate departments. But
have you met other U's? Have you met the Staten Island U?
I have. There's no one like me there. I'll tell you that much. Okay?
The other personalities.
I am a fucking anomaly in that scenario. Let me tell you. But I have met the guys from the other boroughs, and they are really funny. One of the guys from Brooklyn is like a voiceover actor, and he's like a super animated guy, and he's much older, and he talks like this even when you're just talking to him. It's fucking awesome. And I've had to do some training, and the training is done by a couple of nationwide or international organizations that kind of just try and streamline the educating of people with. Okay, so I look like the goth girl from CSI, but I'm not the goth girl from CSI. Okay, because there is no enhance button. That doesn't exist. There's not at our level anyway. I'm sure maybe in some dark fucking bunker somewhere, some CIA or FBI person has some enhanced technology, but we do not. And even there's certain things when I testify to video in court, I cannot say certain things about the video. I can only say, I went here, I downloaded it. I know this data came off of this machine. I can verify that with the hash. Here's pictures. Here's whatever. Here's a video from that machine. And then, if somebody needs to present that in court, a lot of these security systems come with proprietary players. There's a lot of common brands, but then there's a lot of really generic or sub brands. And a lot of my job is just trying to find codecs and players that will get security video to play. But I've seen everything. I've seen murders. I've seen stabbings. I've seen way worse than those things. I've had anything that has happened in New York. I have had to go to that scene and download video.
Sounds pointed.
Or someone from my office.
Yeah, so you actually go to the location where the security camera is and download it off of the camera, take it back.
and then sometimes watch that video like hundreds of times as I'm trying to, get it from this one proprietary file into another proprietary file without compressing the data or introducing artifacts to the data. It's super heady. It's super heady.
How do you?
So you're talking about
it?
Tiffany becoming a psychopath is from firsthand knowledge.
I have seen this shit, guys. Okay, I'm telling you, I've seen this shit play out. I know but it's also like, it's funny that I ended up at that job because I've always had a morbid interest in for me, this kind of goes why I am ripping on that show. I want reality. Reality is scarier to me than falsehood, right? The existential, monsters under my bed, those didn't scare me because I understood that the monsters were real. And the monsters are the people that wrote the episode of the show that we just reviewed. But that's what's scary. That's what's scary is that there's real people who do like horror movie shit. That's the scary thing. And they exist everywhere. Every town, every place. Very few people know the crime stats in their neighborhood. Very few people know the crime stats in their country. And if you start to look at the reality, it's a much scarier existence. Most people will happily pretend like we live in sunshine and fairy tales. There's so much nasty fucking shit that happens every fucking day, everywhere. And I watch it. I see it. So
I'll be right back. I think I left my front door unlocked.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. See, there's something Courtney and I, my wife and I, always watch serial killer documentaries, true crime documentaries, and one of the things, this pisses me off every time we hear it. Every fucking person says, "We never locked our doors." It was a safe place. This town was the kind of town where you could just leave your doors unlocked. I've lived a lot of fucking places. None of them have ever been the kind of place where you leave the doors unlocked. That's unhinged behavior. Okay? I don't know. There's never been... Every fucking murder documentary will tell you this is why you don't leave your doors unlocked, because every small town that you think you're safe in, you're not. Statistically, there's somebody there who is willing to murder you. Anyway, so that's what I do, and it's a really, I'd say it's a fun job. I wouldn't necessarily say that a lot of people could. I've seen some very strange things. Let me just say that much.
It's like the content reviewers on Facebook.
Yeah.
So you've been doing this for 10 years?
Almost, yeah.
Almost 10 years?
Like 7 or 8, really, but almost 10, yeah. A long time, and a lot of...
After 10, you can see your daughter again.
Maybe. At first, I really regretted it. At first, I love that line. I'm gonna use that line all the time.
So how did a cheery guy like you end up getting married?
I guess the funny part is because Courtney and I are equally matched in the sense that when we first started dating, we were like, you know what? We love watching murder documentaries, and there must be something about that. There must be something special too.
Yeah. So even it being your day job and something it's not. I think a lot of people who enjoy murder documentaries, there's a level of removal, and it's still like it still feels like fantasy.
Yeah.
And for you, obviously, it is not. You're very desensitized maybe to it, or just extra fascinated, or you've seen it from a lot of different angles. So
I would say I'm interested. I've always been a backstage kind of person. I like to understand how the sausage was made, right? And this was one area of reality that I never thought I was going to learn much about, but the back end of law enforcement and crime, right, is not necessarily something I would be thought I would be as close to as I am. Now that I am, and I see how this shit works, there's a part of me that loves watching these things and hearing how dumb the fucking cops are. I love it. I love it. I honestly love watching these things just to be like, well, you fucked that up, didn't you? Well, you had one job to do and you didn't do it. Oh, God. Jeez. This is the only murder we've ever had. Oh, how are we going to know to lock down the crime scene? I guess we'll just throw everything away. I guess we'll just step all over.
I gotta ask.
fucking documentary.
This is This is sort of in line with the episode, I guess. These poor patrons. Did you see American Nightmare, the doc? Okay, so I would spoil it for anybody, but the big twist in that, because you kept expecting another, and the big twist is that the cops are fucking idiots, and I was like, oh, okay. I'm glad I didn't know, because I don't think I would have put myself through 3 episodes, but it's well done. Definitely in your wheelhouse if you like true crime stuff.
That's a great doc, and it's another one that kind of proves my point exactly. What I think I see here is that, and this has gone, like, this is how I view politics. This is how I view a lot of things, and working here has only reaffirmed that. You know, the DA's office of Manhattan is an elected position. There are frequently heads of state coming in and out of that office. That office is literally the show Law and Order. The office the building that I work in is the show Law and Order. That's what the show.
Do you have that sound on your board right now?
Fucking kidding me? Come on, dude. I can't remember exactly where I was going with that, but it's when you see the reality of what this shit is, they're just people. Those attorneys, they're not smarter than you. They're just people. Those cops, they're not smarter than you. They're just people. Those detectives who think that they're somehow adept at reading people's minds and knowing when they're telling the truth, they're full of shit. They're just fucking dumbass people. They're dumbass people with a gun and a badge and a layer of responsibility that they now think I have the ability to tell when someone's lying or they don't. They're just people. So, and if cops and attorneys and all the people in the system are going around with this inflated ego, this inflated sense of I know better than anyone else because I have a piece of paper, dude, like, and honestly, some of the training material for cops, DAs, it's some of the most dated shit. And it's like, you can tell a perp's a perp by the look on his face. If his eyes are darting from left to right, he's guilty, ain't he? Like, it's really that kind of like 50s, 60s bullshit. And then, I don't know. It's just crazy seeing it from the back end. The real fucking judgment going through the court system is dealing with the court system. All the fees and all the people just fucking picking apart your life and making it as difficult as possible to recover from it. I don't know. It's a shady business. Anyways, we'll try and keep this a little bit cheerier.
Too late. This is gone.
There are always good people. There are always good people. But unfortunately, if we look statistically, most people are not extra adept at their job. Like, think of the people that you work with. Just look at the 4 of us. Look at the 4 of us. Are any one of us adept at reading anyone's minds? No. But statistically, one of us could easily, all 4 of us could probably become cops tomorrow if we wanted to. That's how easy this shit is. So,
well, especially after COVID. I mean, like, the demand for police.
Yeah, no, sure.
So much higher because no one wants to be an officer anymore, and I don't blame them.
Well, and even just like watching all the tensions during COVID, during lockdown, like against I don't know. For me, watching this shit from this perspective has been interesting. I've gained a lot of valuable insights that I never would have otherwise, and I definitely have learned a ton about a very complex system, and I like complex systems because complex systems are always surprising. You never know what's going to happen.
I have a question. Do you ever talk about this stuff so much? Is there a look that Courtney gives you, Courtney, your wife, that you're just like, okay, I'll shut up?
Well, I don't bore her.
Not that I'm saying we're bored. I'm saying it's talking about this stuff can rub people the wrong way, and it is easy to go down a rabbit hole and just be like, oh, and this and this and this and this. Is there like a point where you're?
It might rub people the wrong way, but what I'm saying is that this is my experience, and there's a lot of people that want to talk shit about the system. They never had to work in law enforcement, and I can speak to this shit because it's what I've experienced. I've seen this shit. The first fucking week I was at the office, I bump into a guy in the hallway. Elliot Spitzer. Do you know who Elliot Spitzer is?
I remember.
Yeah.
Elliot Spitzer was the governor of fucking New York who was using call girls.
Client 9, baby.
Using, yes, that documentary, Client 9, was using government money, government employees to shuttle him to hookups, like committing fucking jailable offenses that anyone should go to jail for. And he was coming to my office to testify in a grand jury against the madam because she was going to go to jail, and he didn't. First fucking week I was there. So that is just like, I've seen a million of those. And for as many people that said this was gonna demystify or like make me think that the government was somehow inherently not as corrupt as I thought they were, they've been wrong, because the things that I have witnessed. And again, like people, I have to work with cops and DAs, and I'll tell them my opinion too. This is my experience. No one's going to tell me that it's not been my experience. And I'm happy that I have been there, and I'm happy that there is somebody like me there that is, and I'm not alone. There are plenty of other people like me, but I am definitely an extreme, and they keep me in that goddamn room for a reason. It's locked. They keep me locked in that room.
From the outside.
They don't like that.
How do you do like, so you've been there a long time, so it's probably, did it take a while to find sort of a work-life balance, or like a way to like compartmentalize, or like talk things through afterwards, like come down from seeing these horrible things, or like a lot of therapy? Like how, I don't know how deep you want to get in with that question, but
well,
it sounds like a heavy gig.
It is heavy, and there's a lot of people there that are deeply affected by some of the things that we see. And I'm not going to say that I'm not, because I for sure am, but meditation is important to me. I meditate through making music, and I always make music. That's just, even if I'm not releasing anything, I'm always playing my guitar, I'm recording, I'm making music, because that's helping me process. Like, I've seen horrible things that really nobody should see under any circumstance. And there's nothing that you can really process from that, except for, I'm grateful for what I have. I'm grateful that is not my circumstance. And, just being aware that it's there. But I guess it's also one of those things where, like, because I know that it's there, it doesn't scare me. Because I see it, because I've seen it as much as I have, it doesn't scare me existentially as it might somebody else. I don't know if that makes sense. Like I've been into prisons. I've sat in rooms with people who have murdered people. I've testified in front of juries in like big televised cases, or not televised cases, but like big press cases. So it's just, in comparison, everything else becomes a little bit easier, if that makes sense. Like that's the scariest shit I've had to do, and I do that on a regular basis. So I'm not really going around being afraid of all of these things just because I've been exposed to them. I understand that before I started working here, they were just as apparent. They didn't magically start to become a thing after I started working there. So
people didn't start stabbing other people just to fuck with you.
Right. That wasn't just, I didn't.
They look up at the camera. They're like, this one's for you, James.
This is for you, James. If their eyes dart back and forth, they gotta be guilty, ain't they? So, I just, it's crazy, dude. Like the shit that I see there, the scene of American Gangster where he's getting released from jail right outside my building. Jeffrey Epstein, his body was getting carted away. I was watching that happen out of the window from my office.
Wow.
That building is right behind where my office is.
Wow.
The other day, I'm in Chinatown and right next to a park, Confucius Park, I think. And they just busted a huge underground gambling racket there. It's just crazy. It's New York. It's Manhattan.
Yeah.
Any fucking thing that happens in Manhattan that makes it on the news is some shit that we're dealing with. Is some video I've had to go deal with. So I don't know. There's a part of it that's cool in the sense that I'm actually a part of that shit. I'm not on the outside wondering. I wonder if I'm getting told the truth. I'm actually witnessing the truth. I'm seeing it with my own eyes, documenting it in some cases, and then hearing it be misrepresented on the TV.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. So I did want to go back to the wedding just because we promised people that we'd talk more about that. It sounds like you're pretty smart about choosing everything for your wedding. Did you have yours at like a big hall or something, or?
It wasn't a big hall, and really, I have to give all the credit here to Courtney. She's like the aesthetic mind, and honestly, it was super fucking crazy because like I was watching. She put together a mood board. She does this professionally. She's a copy editor in the fashion industry, so she's always curating and writing and critiquing fashion and products and all this kind of shit. So this is not necessarily something she had an idea in her mind what she wanted, but when she really started to zone in on it, it was a matter of moments before the whole thing. And it's crazy. She put together these pictures. The shit looked exactly like the pictures. Wow. Everyone that had seen it before the wedding, like everyone who was in the know, when we walked in, we were like, oh my God, this is exactly like she planned it. But that's just from perfect planning. And, I used to do a lot of like live events. So like event production is not necessarily something that intimidated me either. So even the idea of like getting a list of vendors, we had multiple spreadsheets, getting all the invites, getting all of the groomsmen coordinated with their dress, same thing with the bridesmaids, all the flowers. She just, made the spreadsheets and was just chunking shit out. And I picked up whatever, we need money. Boom. We need to pay for this. All right, cool. I need to go run and do this while you're doing this thing over here. We picked this place, this venue that was at the base of the Brooklyn Bridge. It's called Brooklyn Lofts, I think. And it has like a cool view. It's like just right in that iconic area right at the base of the bridge down there. And it was sick. It was kind of rainy. It was like a good, I guess that's like a good omen. Rain on your wedding day, right?
That's where it comes from. Yeah.
But yeah, that's I really can't take credit for that. She really did all the organizing, but it was great. I got sick halfway through. We were cutting the cake and she was like gonna put it in my mouth, and I was like, if you put that in my mouth, I'm going to throw up right now. I don't know why I even got sick.
Save that for later.
It's probably because I didn't eat well, like the days leading up, just everything is happening so fast, like you're not eating and sleeping normally. So
yeah, it's crazy the amount of time and effort you need to put in there, everything like the day before and the day of.
Seriously, it was just like running from one thing to the next, and like I would be lucky if I got a bagel sandwich in between those 2 days.
Yeah, in my experience, the best advice I can give to anyone that is going to get married or planning on getting married is you're just lighting money on fire. So
say goodbye.
Like,
just get comfortable saying goodbye.
Just get married in their backyard or something. Like, don't go through the effort. No one's going to remember anything anyway. Like,
and I think that's kind of like what we really realized is like we at some point it clicked. Like, this can just be whatever the fuck we want it to be. It doesn't. Anyone else saying it has to be a certain way or putting this idea on us, they don't matter. Like this, we can actually just serve pizzas here.
Right.
Like we can have a cheese table, which we did. That's
and that's delicious.
Like we wanted it to be easy, and those pizzas were fucking delicious.
Yeah.
The guy that was literally a pizza truck outside,
great pizza.
Just like shoving them out. A brick oven pizza in a truck. New York. Thanks, New York.
Yeah, my wedding was in my wife's backyard.
Brilliant.
And yeah, we spent all of our money just on food and like Costco food and alcohol.
Incredible.
And we had a foosball table, and my 70-year-old mom wiped the floor with everyone on foosball. It was awesome. But
wasn't invited to that wedding either.
You were too. You didn't want to go to Vancouver.
Zach when
Yeah.
you and I get married,
Yes.
we'll just get married to each other. So we have to be there. Okay.
We'll elope. Yeah. We know who we're going to get to play because it's going
That's
to be a
right.
reunion.
The California
of our favorite
Nightmares.
band, California Nightmares.
If it's anything like any other invite on this show, I won't get invited, so that's all right.
Gun-shaped nipples if they can't make it.
Gun-shaped nipples.
We'll take California Nightmares.
Do you,
James,
do you
are you-
think
are you-
for your wedding you could have a gun-shaped nipples reunion?
Oh, I think like half of his band is dead. But
Or in jail.
but maybe.
James, are you putting out any music right now? That is what brought us together as people.
We just okay. So me, like I was telling you before, me and my buddy, Clint. Yeah, I've known Clint since college in Murfreesboro.
I met him at the wedding. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, right. Okay, and I think maybe you guys had met before because he's actually been.
He
in New
definitely
York
knew
a
me,
bunch.
and
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like, "Hey,
I-
you."
You may have even met him at some point in Nashville, but regardless, Clint is solid as fuck. Clint is an amazing vocalist. He was a vocalist of my metal band in Nashville, and he and I have a number of musical projects. He and I started that record label. So basically, he and I have just really zeroed in on the label and have tried to figure out ways to creatively boost up the catalog. So he and I have a metal band. We just resurrected songs from like 10 years ago and that never got recorded and recorded them and put those out. We'll probably end up doing a couple sporadic releases from that. He and I have this like dark, like industrial kind of Nine Inch Nails sounding band. We don't necessarily regularly release with that, but there will probably be some more music of that at some point in the future. And then Prophet Nathan trying to get some bass tracks recorded. Maybe Loren will throw those down there. But we've got like basically a whole record of that ready. It's crazy because during COVID, I just started recording all the ideas that were in my head, and it's taken this long for them to actually solidify into like congeal into songs. But I feel like over the course of the next couple of years, Clint and I are we're just gonna like button up all the things that we started for all these different projects, and just again, we release other bands' music, other bands from Seattle and Portland that Clint knows, because that's where Clint lives, and he's kind of single-handedly cultivating a little music scene for us out there in the metal and stoner death metal scenes. But we also, he and I make all sorts of music, and we started the label so that we could just release all of our music and not necessarily have to have, like, I don't want to have an Instagram page for every fucking music project I have. I've got 20 fucking music projects. I don't want to manage all that shit. So we start the label, and that's just how we manage it. We put releases out on that. He has a band out there. He'll put a record out with them, and then we'll work on something else, and then me and another buddy will work on that music's kind of turning into new metal shit. But one of my friends from Nebraska in high school lives in Portland, and he does a lot of our mixing whenever we need mixing for stuff out there. I don't know. We're just trying to like. It's the same thing with the podcast. We looked at the things that we were doing, and we were like, how do we double down on this? How do we do this more, and how do we do this more efficiently and without limiting ourselves as much as possible? But you know, this year there'll be a couple things this year, and that's a long way of getting around to say yes. At some point there will be shit coming out, but I don't know. I
That's
also
so fucking rad.
I try not to rush things. I can get really impatient when it comes to it, and when you're doing stuff. I've been doing strictly remote records since 2019 at this point.
Mm-hmm. Oh wow!
You caused the pandemic. Is what I mean.
It was my fault. Yeah, it was actually, dude. Our industrial band. We released our first record the day they shut the country down. It was a bummer for streams. Okay.
Oh man.
No one wanted to stream it, but it is our fault. We did cause COVID. So
Well, I think it's kind of cool that
Sorry.
we kind of both started the podcast kind of around the same time, or like we're both delving into it. I know George and I had done one for, I don't know, 5 years, like 10, 15 years ago or something. And I don't know. It's just changed so much now, and like everybody has a podcast, but it just seems like somewhere you're shining. Like you are naturally really good at talking, and you, like Zach said earlier, you're not afraid of anything. Like you don't stumble on shit. I don't know. It's just been nice seeing you kind of come into your own with all this, and just an idea to kind of spout your bullshit somewhere, somewhere else as opposed to a stage,
Honestly, dude, like I look at all the cool fucking people I know and all the cool shit that they do, and I look at some of these fucking dickheads on the internet who I don't give a fuck about, and I would much rather hear you and Zach's podcast. I would much rather hear you guys talk about literally anything. It can be this show, it can be another show. Like I would much rather you guys, like, dude, fucking creating in this day and age can be so fucking demoralizing. And the podcast for me is an easy win. Every week I feel like, you know what? That was fun. I created a fun thing. I had a fun conversation with some of my friends. There's no losing. Every week creatively I get a little win. And especially working on like years longs remote recorded records, there's not many wins. Like even when I finally get to release something, it's like I'm over it by that point. I've been working on it for years. I'm over it.
Yeah.
This like every week I get a little bit of a hit. And we just know so many cool people that do so many cool things. We're interesting people. Like how many times have we had conversations at a dinner or a lunch, and it's like, we should have fucking recorded that. Somebody somewhere would have enjoyed some of the insights that we had during this conversation.
We do know a lot of great people, and a lot of them we have seen, especially as we get older, just fall through the cracks because it's just so hard to keep up with all this, and there's no love for putting out an album, and there's no love for touring, and it's like two things that my band has to do to survive. And I don't know, this podcast, I don't want to wax too philosophical about it, but like it's been really interesting and eye-opening to like, I want to edit, I want to make content, I want to put this out, and even if it's a small amount of people listening, it's not like I'm putting in 2 years of work and it has to make a splash, or an accountant doesn't get paid, or a lawyer doesn't get paid, and you go further into debt. It's just, it's a silly podcast about a 90s forgotten show, but it's making me reconnect with people that I haven't talked to in a while, and kind of seeing what they're up to and seeing their process. So I don't know, this has been really cool so far, and it's made me happy. But the other part of me is like, oh shit, now we have to like promote it, and we have to get everybody on board, and everyone has to like it, and like people have to sign up, and we have to like pay for all this shit. But it's like, at the core of it, it's like, this was fun, and I want to share this with people, because that might be all that it is. So I don't know, it's nice to see you on the same train.
That, you're right, Pete, that might be all that it is. And if that's enough for me, at least. Like this last year for me personally was intense. It was a lot. It just felt like from every angle I was getting destroyed by something else. Like culminating, the wedding was like the one thing I was like, you know what? All the rest of the shit can burn down. As long as I still got the wedding, I'm okay. Everything will be fine. And we got there, and it was great. It was perfect. It was everything we wanted. And the fucking podcast was like the glue that binded, dude. We've been doing this shit. We've been creating things for so long to nobody that it doesn't even matter if nobody listens to the podcast. The point at this point is just to have fun aimlessly creating some shit. Because we're not normal people. We're thinking about a release not only in terms of how to get the budget to get this thing recorded, the process of getting it recorded, but then how do I promote this thing? Do I take out ads? Where do I get that money from? How am I like, we're not just sitting in a room jamming out music. We left that room a long time ago. We're in a completely different room that's way more intense when it comes to just the simple act of sitting around and playing music. And this is something that can be some brainless fun. We can just press record and we can have this conversation. I got to spend time with my friends tonight. There's no losing there. I don't care if anyone watches this episode. We're winning because we're sitting here. We've had a kick-ass conversation for 2 hours. That's a fucking win.
We're the number one California Dreams podcast. I don't know how many times we have to keep mentioning that to you.
Number one. We're the number one California Dreams. But I mean, Pete is a California Dreams historian.
That's
true. He really is.
I saw this episode had 2 critic reviews, and one of them was from CaliforniaDreamsReview.com, and my heart sank. My heart sank because I was like, I didn't know about this. Let's check it out. Doesn't exist. So I was like, good. Still on top. We're still the only ones. So.
So
I'm going to buy CaliforniaDreamsReview.com.
Yeah, no, I mean, seriously. First of all, that's the first thing you're doing.
It used to exist, but it does not now. So somebody has just a stockpile of this stuff. But
you should see if any of it's on the Wayback Machine. See if you can find any snapshots of what that page looked like.
I mean, I bet they love it. That's the thing that Zach and I were talking about on your podcast a little bit. We touched on it, George, that we're like, we know we're going to come up against people that love this show, and they're gonna defend it more than I am defending it, and they're not gonna like it. That they're not gonna like your episode, James. Like they're gonna be pissed. We're calling out.
We're getting hate mail because of you. Thanks. but what I will say to those people,
honest.
What I will say to those people is, I will hunt you down. And I will buy your retired websites like CaliforniaDreamsReviews.com, and I will buy them myself. And then I will promote my own show from my own website that you used to own.
George is going to buy CaliforniaDreamsReview.biz just to fuck with you. Okay?
No, CaliforniaDreamsReviews.com is available.
Reviewed. Past
it was.
I think they gave up. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they definitely
James,
gave up.
I want to thank you for coming on. Thanks for sticking around for the encore, the after show, and we're definitely gonna have you back. I mean, we threatened a dinosaurs episode, so I think that's gonna happen. So we do a monthly side project show where we last month we talked about Full House, and who knows what's gonna happen next month. I haven't told these guys yet, so we're gonna get you back for that. And if you want to delve back into the world of California Dreams / Nightmares, you let us know. And
so something you might not know is the cast is almost completely different somewhere around season 2. So you can come back, you know,
a whole new show. You're gonna love it.
In a handful of weeks, and like Matt's not in it, Kelly's not, it's different. So,
all right, so dibs on another California Dreams episode, dibs on a dinosaur episode. And then I want to have you guys on my podcast again, and we'll talk about some not California Dreams stuff.
If there is an episode of California Dreams where anyone kicks a puppy, we're totally bringing you on.
Okay, yeah, I'm into that. I'm into that.
Yeah,
if they get lost down any like conspiratorial thing, if they get involved in some political scandal, that's definitely an episode for me for sure.
Beautiful.
Well, all right. That will do it for the show. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you, patrons, for supporting the show. You make this possible, and we will see you next week.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, everybody.
This has been a Winning Moon production.